So after Donald Trump and Texas's loss at the Supreme Court that just happened, we broke it down in a previous video, the American right, the Republican movement, the conservative movement, the MAGA movement, they're all absolutely freaking out and losing their minds. And there's so much we could go over. There's Greg Kelly at Newsmax. There's Rudy Giuliani and Jenna Ellis continuing to lie and misinform like the Trump base. But I have to say that perhaps the most troubling and most prominent example of a MAGA meltdown comes from the head of the Republican Party in Texas, Allen West. So this is a prominent, high-ranking Republican official in the biggest red state in the country who's basically calling for the red states to secede from the United States because the Democrats don't respect the Constitution. And he's basically in real time committing an act of sedition against the American people. So I'm going to read you out his statement. It's an official one from the party. It says here, below is Chairman Allen West's statement in regards to the decision by the Supreme Court to dismiss Texas's constitutionally legitimate and critical lawsuit. It says, quote, the Supreme Court in tossing the Texas lawsuit that was joined by 17 states and 106 U.S. congressmen have decreed that a state can take unconstitutional actions and violate its own election law, resulting in damaging effects on other states that abide by the law, while the guilty state suffers no consequences. This decision establishes a precedent that says states can violate the U.S. Constitution and not be held accountable. This decision will have far-reaching ramifications for the future of our constitutional republic. Perhaps law-abiding states should bond together and form a union of states that will abide by the Constitution. The Texas GOP will always stand for the Constitution and for the rule of law, even while others don't. And so most of that's a lie. First of all, this case was absolutely baseless. And more to that point, the Supreme Court didn't really say anything about the case because they didn't even think it was worth their time to hear. Only 2 of the 9 justices even wanted to hear the case, Alito and Clarence Thomas, but also they said they would have heard it, but ultimately would have ruled against Texas and the other interveners like Trump, 106 congressmen. I think it was actually more like 120 by the end of the day, as well as all of these red states. And so basically everything's a lie there. None of that happened. There were no violations of election law anywhere. No distortions, nothing like that. It was a purely legitimate and standard election. That's what happened. And Trump lost. And the Republicans lost 2 of the 3 branches, and they might lose the Senate still, depending on those Georgia runoffs. They might not like that reality, but that's the reality. And so Allen West is basically saying, well, we're just going to destroy the country. I'm basically going to declare myself a seditious actor against the American Republic and basically try to tear apart the country because I'm not happy that a 66% conservative Supreme Court wouldn't hear my BS case. This is it's absurd. It's absurd. It's anti-democratic. It flirts with totalitarianism, and it's whiny, and frankly, it's stupid. Like, it's really stupid. AOC was right when she called this the Confederacy of Dunces, because that's what it would be. It's the stupidest Republican officials making the stupidest decision that would hurt every American, but would hurt their own constituents most of all. Look, I'm not one of these progressives. I'm not one of these left-leaning people that mocks red states. I don't like to be one of those people that suggests that, people in red states are dumb, or people in red states deserve poverty, or people in red states deserve what's coming to them. I don't think that's fair or productive. But it need be said that in general, the red states are poorer, they have lower levels of education, they have lower levels of economic opportunity, they have worse working standards, and in general, they are worse places to live and learn and grow. They are just not as good, frankly. And the fact of the matter is even on pure economic grounds, in general, red states get more from the federal government than they give to the federal government. Whereas, again, in general, blue states give more to the federal government than they get back. Meaning that if any of the states are economic leeches or economic givers or takers, the red states are the takers and the blue states are the givers. Now, again, I'm not one of these people that tries to make that an argument of moral superiority, aka the people in the red states deserve to have a worse quality of life. My suggestion is, however, that people like Allen West, out of this bizarre devotion to an awful human being like Donald Trump, who cares for no one but himself, would risk the basic rights and dignities and livelihoods of their own people. It really would be a confederacy of dunces. These people, though, we should laugh at them, but realize again that the Republican Party, almost in its entirety, is the enemy of democracy. These are not isolated figures. These are 100 plus congressmen, Republican officials from nearly 40% of the entire state base. They're making this decision. It has to come to the question now that it's not even enough for Republicans, voters and members in elected office, to decry their own party. You have to start asking yourself, if you still choose to sit as a Republican, or if you still choose to vote Republican, how can you consider yourself anything else other than an enabler of an anti-democratic party?